Long before there was a technology company known as Netlaw, there was a law firm called Hargrove Madden. Hargrove Madden is an estate planning law firm. That's all we do. I was with that practice and part of the team that created this technology. You know, you talk about sophisticated technology, you talk about drafting technology. That's what this system does. We created this to be a tool in our practice to better serve our clients and to work with the advisors more closely in a secure encrypted environment. In 2012, we were recognized by the American Bar Association for this technology, the same technology that we use in our practice to create documents for our clients, your clients can use to create documents for themselves. So when you're engaging a lawyer, what are you paying for? You're not paying for that piece of paper, you're paying for their time. So we've taken that process and boiled it down into a very consumer-friendly version. So we ask them the same questions that that lawyer would ask them to create their documents. But what I want to talk to you all about is really how you can relate this to your clients. And I have to commend Virginia, wherever she is. I was listening to her presentation, and I would have thought that, are you a lawyer by background? Because you really know your stuff. That was a very nice presentation. I could have just turned it over to you. So when I talk to clients, I talk about protecting their wealth and protecting their health. I don't talk about estate planning. I don't talk about wills and trust and death and dying, because that's no fun. Who wants to talk about death and dying? Raise your hand if you want to talk about that. No. Nobody does. So instead, you know, you guys spend your lifetime working with individuals to help them build their wealth and to have policies in place to protect their families. With Netlaw, you can now help them to protect that wealth. I'm going to skip over some of this a little bit, but you know, when you talk to clients and they're wondering about why do they need estate planning, why is this something that they would even consider, and sometimes they're afraid. You know, Virginia mentioned her mom didn't want her to sign a guardianship paper because she was afraid that means she was going to die. That's a common fear. You know, other fears that people have are maintaining control of that asset. They don't want to lose control and the ability to benefit from that asset. So security, benefit, control, but also managing those assets for future generations. I mean, I know personally, I don't want to spend my life building my net worth and risk that going to my future ex-son-in-law and his new family. Well, you can protect that with proper planning. So let's talk a little bit about what those documents are that protects your wealth. You guys have heard about this already, so I won't go through too much detail here, but your financial power of attorney. That's the document where you name somebody that can help you, that can do transactions for you, can buy and sell real estate, can vote stock, can write checks to pay bills, and to continue the livelihood for your family that you would do if you were able to do that for yourself. You know, with the last will and testament, you decide how your assets pass, not state law. You all know already that every state has intestacy laws. It's probably not the way you would want your assets to pass if you were to choose so. The example I always give is in Kentucky, my state of residency, the spouse takes last. It does not automatically go to your spouse. You can disinherit a child, but you cannot disinherit a spouse. They always have that last right to take. This is also the document where you name a guardian for your minor children. Don't leave that in the hands of a judge. You know, because a judge doesn't know you, doesn't know your family situation. You may have two sides of the family fighting over custody of that child. In very extreme cases, I've seen children placed in foster care until guardianship can be worked out. And that's a horrible situation. So let's move on. We've already talked about intestacy. Revocable living trust. You know, in California especially, it's one of those states where your probate laws are very burdensome. It's very costly and time-consuming to go through that process. With a revocable living trust, you can avoid that entire process. Probate is public record. You know, anyone can pull your file and see what you have, what it's valued at, and how you're leaving it. And if you don't have a will, it's going to be left by state law. You can help your clients avoid that entire process. Also, at probate, any asset that is subject to that process, that asset is frozen for a period of time, which means no distributions can be made to support the family, to pay bills, to buy groceries, until a creditor's claim period expires. With that revocable trust, you can avoid that, and those assets are immediately available to that family. Let's talk a little bit about the Netlaw revocable trust and how that works. The way our trust works, this is a trust solely for the purpose of probate avoidance only. So at the first death, if that client is married, everything goes to the spouse. At the second death, that then can pass to your children in structured trust. So you can decide when they get those assets and how. You know, we talked about protecting those assets for future generations. You know, without this planning, your child could potentially receive all of their inheritance at age 18. And that's no good. Nobody wants that. Because what do those 18-year-olds do? They go out and buy a red sports car. Or they take their friends to Vegas and have a nice fun time. Well, you don't want that to happen. So make sure that you structure the beneficiaries and the payouts to your children through trust planning. So protecting your health. When I talk to clients or if I'm doing a client presentation, oftentimes I'll have someone mention, you know, I don't really care what happens. I don't need a will. I don't need a trust. I'm going to let my family, you know, they'll worry about all of that after I'm dead and gone. So I don't really care about that. I don't need a will. Well, okay, but what if you don't die? What if you're just incapacitated? What if you have a stroke? Do you care then who takes care of you and who makes medical decisions for you? More than likely you do. You know, the example I always give is if something happened to me and I was unable to make medical decisions for myself, I know who I would want to do that, but more importantly, I know who I wouldn't want to do that. And I definitely want to make sure that that person's not appointed. If I don't have these documents in place, a judge makes that decision. So those are things that you really don't want to leave to chance. The medical documents that are included in the Netlaw plan that protect your health are your medical powers of attorney, the document where you name someone to make medical decisions for you if you can't do so for yourself. Your living will, also known as an advance directive, that's the end-of-life decisions. That's the document that controls whether or not you are kept alive artificially or if you're allowed to die naturally. So if you feel very strongly about that, it's very important that you have that document in place. The HIPAA authorization, that's a federal document, and that works hand in hand with your other two medical documents so that your healthcare surrogate and your advance directives have the ability to speak freely with your physicians to get that information that they need to make those medical decisions for you. So how do you get started? Guys, this is a very, very easy product for you to refer. We have a mobile app that we developed specifically for WFG. This is just for you guys. You download that on your tablet or your smartphone. You just search for Netlaw, Netlaw. It's the first search result that comes up. We then ask for some information about you so that we can connect you to that client, and then we know who has earned that referral fee. So you'll fill that information out. From then you have two very simple buttons, register a client or product information. It gets no easier than that. From there, when you register a client, you need 4 simple pieces of information: first name, last name, email address, and phone number. Register that client, we then take it from there. We do offer them 2 payment options. We try to be very inclusive and allow people to pay that as they can, either through a finance option or all at one time. The product information screen will give them more information about the plan itself. So right from your smart device, you can show the details of that plan to your client. You can even collect payment information right from your mobile device. From there, you get the success screen, and then we take it from there. We follow up with the client. If they need additional help, we can help them through that process, and we lead them through a very sophisticated interview process to create very specific, tailored documents for that client. Before I end my time, I want to let you guys know about our first quarter contest. For every 5 plans you sell, you're going to win a Kindle Fire. For every plan that you sell, your name goes into a drawing to win a hoverboard. And I believe that Vivian's team member was the grand prize winner last quarter, right? Vivian Alera, thank you guys. I thank you so much for your time, and I'm actually wrapping up early, so that's awesome. Thanks, guys.